Hey everyone, Ilya here, and this time I'm gonna show you Ru251. You know, I could start the analysis of the tank as usual by going stat over stat and commenting something about those, but this time I want to build my story about Ru251 a bit differently. Of course I'll have to tell you what this tank has anyway, but I just want to present it in a bit another way. I will start by claiming that this tank is better than the top of this line Panzerwagen. And not even tier to tier, but just if you put these tanks next to one another in the same battle, I would take Ru251 without any hesitation. Even if I had to play against 15 tier 10 tanks, I would still prefer Ru251 to Panzerwagen. Now this could sound really strong, but of course I'll try to prove you my point right now. Let's see what Ru251 has to offer to its owners at the moment, and let's just make a list of strong sides of this tank. Number 1. View range 410. Base view range. You spot anything and anywhere. You aren't afraid of any lights, even tier 10 lights. You outspot tier 9 and 8 lights very easily. Super comfortable. Number 2. Camo. Well, since we talked about outspotting lights, camo is also important, and it's up to 36%, which is like half percent less than 1390, so which is really French level, it's good. But the French light has only 380 meters view range on tier 9. Poor 1390. You are invisible in bushes and you have very comfortable safe zone in the open where you see the enemy and the enemy can't see you. French lights have no chance against you, as well as Americans, which have no camo but just as much view range, or Chinese, because Chinese have smaller view range, slightly smaller view range, and slightly smaller camo as well. Apart from T100LT, which is a threat to any light tank, you have really great chances to outspot any other light tank in the game. Third great thing about Ru251 is mobility. Even though it had its max speed cut a little, it's still amazing 70. Plus, now it has way over 30 horses per ton, so it gains its 70 very quickly. You don't feel its speed being cut at all, and you are still absolutely quickest light on tier 9, and one of the quickest lights in the game. Traverse speed is also right. You can't turn around in a finger snap, but it doesn't feel bad. And even this is not over. Number 4 in the list of advantages is the gun. Quick and comfortable to shoot main APCR with 215 penetration, in combination with outstanding mobility to flank enemies and the amount of paper targets in the battles. You don't even need too much of gold very often. Generally you can play with main rounds pretty effectively. But if the situation really needs, if you need 100% penetration at object 140 in the front or some heavy, you can always use gold with 250 penetration. And guess what? These gold heat rounds fly at the same speed as its APCR. That's totally insane. It feels weird when you shoot heat, because you expect heat round to really fly to the target, whereas it hits the enemy immediately. And don't forget about high explosives. Super HAP rounds with 102 penetration. Will penetrate all lights with these high explosives easily and almost without sudden non-penetrations, you know, these happen in other tanks. Will penetrate rear of almost any tank we meet, and sides of softer mediums, even the side of 62A. Also, these high explosives track enemies very easily, so make sure you have enough shells of each type and use them all in the right moment. If you learn to use all 3 types of shells in Ru251, you will deal tons of damage in it, and especially you should learn to use these high explosives in the right moment. The gun handling is pretty good, and base final accuracy of .36 allows to hit targets while both on the move and while standing still, without need to aim for very long, which is super nice. The gun is a lot more comfortable than the gun of Panzerwagen, which needs to wait for the aiming circle to contract for 2 weeks before each shot. And here we just turn the turret, wait a little and hit the target. Amazing. The gun depression of Ru251 is 10 degrees, but only to the side of the tank, not to the front. There it's only 5. So you should also get a habit to turn this tank if you need to depress the gun. It may feel a little strange at first, but you'll get used to that. And, well, it will cause no trouble after a few battles. The only really frustrating part about the gun is the ammo capacity. You can't take enough shells of each type. I run out of standard ammo pretty often, but I can't take fewer gold rounds, because if there is critical moment when you need 200% penetration at some heavies, you'll need to spam gold at it. Of course, that doesn't happen in every battle, not even every 5th battle, but you know, you need gold even to pen Soviet mediums or E50 in the front as well, so it would be sad if you desperately needed to pen something and you're already out of gold. You're kinda supposed to avoid shooting armored targets, at least in the front, but sometimes you really have to. So you need to carry some gold as well, and of course several high explosives primarily as light destroyer shells. I think it's a pretty cool list of advantages, don't you think? This tank sees everyone, this tank is pretty invisible, this tank is incredibly mobile, this tank has a very comfortable and damaging gun, this tank isn't large at all and can use landscape well, it can hide almost behind any bomb. Yet another point I forgot to mention before. Advantages everywhere. Personally, when I was playing Ru251, I had a thought in my mind that why would I even need a tier 9 medium? If this thing can deal almost as much damage, if not more sometimes, thanks to mobility. Plus, it's also Super Scout, 2 in 1. All tier 9 lights are pretty good, but Ru251 is just outstanding. If you're interested in getting tier 10 light, then I don't recommend this line at all. Panzerwagen is very weak, even compared to Ru251, a tank which is 1 tier lower. But if you are just interested in good lights that are interesting to play, then Ru251 must be in your shortlist. Also, I think it's a perfect tank for personal missions. Ru251 can get you, well, all missions completed. This tank is a real top light of the line by the real power of the tank. So if this video was very interesting, I would be very happy if you liked it, and see you in the next videos, guys.